I will never give Kite Baby another dime of my money, and I would encourage you to do the same.
These are the people we're supporting. Kyte brought this onto themselves after treating their employee so bad.
I will no longer be supporting Kite Baby.
So people all over TikTok and social media more broadly are angry at this company, Kyte Baby, because of the way that their maternity leave policy produced basically injustice for some of their employees. We want to talk about Marissa Hughes, who sort of inspired this frenzy against Kyte Baby. Marissa had been working in marketing at the company for less than a year when she adopted a baby boy who had been born prematurely at only 22 weeks. So Hughes could have taken 2 weeks for maternity leave if she committed to a 6-month contract upon returning after remember, 2 weeks. Given her son's situation, she said she didn't know if she would be able to do that after just 2 weeks, if she could commit to the 6 months, and proposed a remote option that would provide a little bit more flexibility. That was denied, so she opted to leave instead. And people are, I think, understandably angry about this. Not just the lack of flexibility when it comes to managing some sort of remote option or something, but the short periods of time that we're talking about. So in this, because we're a country that doesn't prioritize new parents, that doesn't give them the leave that they deserve and need, she hadn't been there for a year. So she only qualified for up to 2 weeks. Even if she had been there for a longer threshold, it's still only a few weeks. It's a joke in comparison to the vast majority of the countries on Earth. And so, look, the Kyte CEO, after this began to generate some negative attention online, issued an initial apology, but people didn't think that it was sincere. So she did an updated one. Why don't we go into a little bit of this video?
I just posted an official apology on TikTok, and the comments were right. It was scripted. I memorized it. I just basically just read it. It wasn't sincere, and I've decided to go off script. And I was the one that made the decision to veto her request to go remote while she has to stay in NICU to take care of her adopted baby. And when I think back, this was a terrible decision. I was insensitive, selfish, and was only focused on the fact that her job was had always been done on site, and I did not see the possibility of doing it remotely.
Yeah, look, I don't know the exact daily duties of the job. I don't know how reasonable it is. Not every job can become remote necessarily, but she's implying in this updated apology that in theory this one could have been. And it's not often that in one of these apologies you see the CEO admitting that the prior apology was insincere. So that definitely sticks out. Now, obviously there's the context of people being really angry at this company and the fact that you have these sorts of issues at a lot of companies, but this is a company that produces products for new parents. So you would expect a little bit more understanding in this area. Sharon, what do you make of this?
I think even her unscripted message is garbage. You don't get to be the CEO because you don't, quote, see the possibilities of it being remote. The woman proposed it because it's very possible. That is why she proposed it. And I think it's rich and kind of gross. This is one of my favorites lately, that she is now being so thoughtful and so great at listening to feedback when this woman who couldn't have had more real sympathy-driven circumstances. And now that your bottom line is being hit and there's boycott and TikTok and it's gone viral, you suddenly see the light. I think it's just garbage, and maybe I'm being unforgiving, but that's just how I see it.
Yeah, look, people are gonna decide for themselves whether they think that this is acceptable, whether they're gonna, shop at this company again. Look, I'm a new parent. I have a 5-month-old. I wasn't even familiar with this company, so I don't know how much of a threat this poses to them going forward. And honestly, I'm more interested in sort of a zoomed out version of this, in that 2 weeks, two weeks is nothing. Let alone if it's a baby that was born premature and you're gonna spend all that time literally in a hospital. Even if everything goes exactly as we would hope that it would, 2 weeks is no time whatsoever to bond with your new child, let alone to set you up for they're gonna be okay, you're gonna be able to get back to work. How, what is supposed to happen when you are at work? We don't have the support structure certainly not at a federal level, not institutionally, not in terms of bureaucracy to help out people. We have just a few states that have provided some mandatory leave. I was lucky enough that I live in California, which is one of those. I was able to get 12 weeks, which is really good for an American, really bad for a human in comparison to other countries. But we're now, multiple years into the Biden administration. No work is even being done in this area. There's no hope that we're going to join the community of other countries on this topic. And it's ridiculous that we've gotten to 2024 and you might still be stuck spending just a couple of days or hell, maybe 2 weeks with your new child post-birth. What do you think, Sharon?
I think it's silly.
Comment.
You're right. The 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. Can you imagine if you didn't have support and you were told to get back to work and be highly productive? Okay, this is a CEO who I would suspect if the woman came back in 2 weeks would be on her to be a high achiever again. And it's just the fact that I feel like we're always last. Women are an afterthought. We're depending on people like Ivanka to do some kind of, family leave, increase it or something during her father's administration. This is how silly. You want to invest in people and for America to heal and try to do better. It actually starts with bonding with your baby and feeling good about raising a child.
Yeah, 100%. And or at the very least, can we stop having like politicians talk about how, like absentee fathers or parents not being invested enough is the reason that, society has gone to hell. Well, you sure don't seem to be working on filling in that gap.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.